There are three types of audiences that you can write for. This is lesson 27 in the Architecture of Grammar. My name is Léandre Larouche. I'm the author of the Architecture of Grammar and the founder of Trivium Writing. In this video, we're talking about the three types of audiences: general audience, knowledgeable audience, and expert audience. The reason we're talking about this is that information is presented differently to different people because not everybody has the same level of knowledge. Not everybody has the same level of education. And so it's important in order to be understood that you write in a very specific way for your target audience. And when you think of your target audience, you can always think about one specific person. But if we want to think about what information, which is the content, and how we present the information, which is the form, if we want to think about how to present to them the information, then we need to know what type of people they are. Do they have a general knowledge, or are they knowledgeable about the topic, or are they expert at the topic? Let me give you an example. If you are a researcher in a university, you're a scientist, let's say, and you're researching on a certain cell, you're an expert. And so when you write, you're writing for other experts. These experts already know pretty much everything there is to be known about the topic you're writing for. So all you want to write is the things that they don't already know. However, if you're going to write a book about the science that you study, unlike writing the papers for the other experts, then what you would do is you would start with what people know. You would figure out a baseline, and the way that you figure out a baseline is you look at what is general knowledge, what is it that pretty much everybody knows, and you can further segment your audience geographically. Because, for example, if you write something for an Indian audience, Indian people may have a different set of knowledge. The general audience in India may know different things than in the United States. And so the same thing goes for the United States. If you have a book about India for a general audience, then of course Indian people have more knowledge about India than Americans have knowledge about India. So you want to make sure that you have the right baseline for the information that you are going to present. Now, you can have a knowledgeable audience, and a knowledgeable audience is simply a group of people that have an interest, they have read books, they have studied a little bit the topic, but they're not yet expert, which is to say that they don't know pretty much everything that there is to be known. And so again, it is a matter of figuring out what can you reasonably expect people to know. So that's for the first variable, the content. When it comes to the form, if you think about everything that you've learned throughout this video series, the Architecture of Grammar, if you think about all these elements, this is really where all of this comes into play. Because when you're writing for a general audience, you can't assume that everybody has a PhD. You have to realize that some people may only have a high school education. Some people may have gone to college, but they may not be avid readers. And your goal when writing for a general audience is to be understood by the largest amount of people. And in order to do that, you need to use simple words. You need to use short sentences. If you pick up a book from your bookshelf and you look at it, then of course, in my bookshelf, there are different types of books. There are books for the general audience, or books for a knowledgeable audience, and for an expert audience. If you look at a book for a general audience, you'll see that the style is rather simple. It's meant to be understood. Whereas if you pick a paper or an academic book, then the sentences are longer, there's more jargon, and it's generally more complex. And the reason is you just cannot explain the complex reality of certain phenomena without the complexity of language. And it is okay to use complex language between experts, because it is experts' jobs to read these things and to understand and to labor through these ideas. So these is for the expert audience. Now, when it comes to the knowledgeable audience, it is a mix of the two. It is a mix between general and expert. It is especially important to lay out the right assumptions about the content. So what should they know? What should the readers know? And so, but then when it comes to the form, you really just want to make sure that you're understood by the people you want to talk to. And it's important to think about your baseline, but you have to decide, what do you think is appropriate for people to know in order to be qualified as knowledgeable. And this is a choice that you make. And this is the truth about writing. You have to make a lot of assumptions and you have to make choices. And these choices can be hard, but you have to make these choices. So you have the general audience. The general audience, you write to be understood. You use simple words, you use simple sentences, you don't use jargon. You make sure that it's short and easy to read. For the knowledgeable audience, you can be a little more complex. You can refine, you can explain more of the nuances. You don't have to gloss over so many details, and you can be a little complex in your style as well. When it comes to the expert audience, you don't need to worry about being complex because it is the expert's jobs to read complex papers, and you can and you should, in fact, because it is your duty, flesh out all the nuances and really focus on what you're bringing to the table that's new and original. Now, if you go in the book, The Architecture of Grammar, you'll see examples for each of these audiences. You'll see examples and you'll be prompted to write your own text for these different audiences. So go to your book, open your book, The Architecture of Grammar, and look at the examples and write your own texts.